Topic is building families and communities, and we're talking to Reverend RDockery and Mr. Isaac White. Reverend Dockery, before we end this show for today, let's have you and Mr. White to speak to this whole idea of the need that we have, certainly in the state of Tennessee, as well as perhaps throughout the nation, to have some kind of resources for young people who would like to become involved in the skills and the crafts that Mr. White is talking about. Let's do it from that perspective.
Yeah, Dr. Haney, let me start like this. Right now, Metro is in a situation where they're trying to figure out how to deal with discipline issues in the public schools. Education is the process, historically, in America that was developed to empower young people to become productive citizens in the American nation and the culture and the society. And for many of the young people and their families that we're talking about, rather than being empowered, they're being disenfranchised because of the lack of quality education, lack of understanding how to provide that education for them. Discipline has become the thing that is said to be the problem. But discipline represents model and example. And within that family structure, if there's not a model and example, a value for learning, a value for taking advantage of opportunities, then you set yourself up for failure. One of the things that we're talking about in creating a whole model for families is now, specifically with relation to education, is allowing parents to understand their role. See, your primary school is at home first, before you even go out to a public setting, or even to a church. And if you can show parents how to create a school or learning environment at home first, then that could reinforce what they learn in the public school setting. And so one of the things that we're talking about doing is building an institutional training setting where parents can learn their rights and responsibilities, learn how to provide positive behavioral support for their children and encourage that in the school, learn how to deal with health-related issues. For many children go to school with improper hygiene, and they become the source of ridicule. And this leads to the behavior problem. Many of them go to school without a proper breakfast and nourishment, and that leads to them not being interested and involved, engaged in learning. So there's a whole gamut of things. It doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There are a number of things. So one of the things we're talking about is providing a learning structure and keeping it where education is a 24-hour process. You reinforce what you get in the public school setting by having parents create an environment that is very similar to what they have in that fabricated environment in the public school setting. But most importantly, when those those children at the 18 hours a day in their primary environment, that's reinforced. So that 6 hours that they're getting in the public school setting becomes meaningful then. So what we're talking about is allowing, in addition to the skills, in identifying the learning styles. You know, we find that there's evidence that suggests that African American, in particular males, have a tendency to be very skillful. Not just African American males, but all males. They have a natural agility. But certainly we find those that are locked up, when you get them there, they show some of the best talent.
After they're locked up.
After they're locked up. It's too late then. You know, but so that's the focus, and one of the things that Mr. White and I have been talking about is how we can use skill training as a platform by which we can launch into a number of meaningful opportunities.
I think, Mr. White, one of the things that has been of some concern, not only dealing with skilled work, but also just a whole variety of other opportunities that are not available in a real sense to many African-American youth. What do you think that we can do in order to sort of broaden and to make society more aware? See, because unless politicians and all of these other folks who have the money stream, unless they can be made aware of the importance of this, many of them simply think, perhaps don't see this as a major problem.
Well, would you believe this? That a child in a daycare, 2.5 years old, right, was told by the instructor that he would have to leave school they put him out.
2.5 years.
2.5 years old now. He's already got, he's been put out of
discipline
daycare.
problem there too.
He's got a discipline problem already, you know. And then it